sometimes we as humans think the grass is always greener, and yet we forget to celebrate what we have and where we are and who's surrounding us. Dr. Nick is surrounding us this morning and joins us with more. You know, I was fascinated with Gene and how much he loves the cypress wood and Bayou Chene, and I mean, celebrates it and loves it. And that's what brought up this idea of our culture in Louisiana and how great it is, and yet sometimes people are like, oh, but I wish I lived here. I wish I lived somewhere else.
Yeah.
So why is that important to us?
Well, and it almost starts with what is interesting to me when we hear, oh, the grass is always greener, and we hear root where you're planted. You know, or grow where you're rooted, you know, stay in your pot and let that pot. That notion of the here and now, this is my culture. I think you raise the great question for me is, how do we explore the culture that we're in, particularly Southeast Louisiana, or where I come from, the Mississippi Delta, which has got its own very, very fascinating culture with great writers and great stories.
Oh,
and Southeast Louisiana having the great music and the great food. So I have to tell you, Whitney, that and maybe it's too vulnerable, but I struggle with this. I always feel like I want to be somewhere else. And I think the reason why I do it is because when I go somewhere else, it's always for a few days or a week or 2 weeks, and I'm having fun.
True.
But then when I come back from New York, I'm like, I can't live there. Don't you think that there's some of that? And we come back and realize that there's a normalcy to this culture as well. There's a normalcy. There's an ordinariness.
Yes.
To where we are.
Yes. But I think therein lies the comfort.
You've done great.
Thank you.
And I with your show, I mean, I would think if anybody has the knowledge and the experience to really be an ambassador for Southeast Louisiana, wouldn't you say that your experiences and the people you've met?
Well, you know, what's great is I feel like I've really been with the ambassadors. You know.
Oh, with the ambassadors.
I do.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
You know, Gene Seneca. I mean, and look, he was in New York for the opening of one of the seasons of Swamp People, and took, you know, baby alligators and showed them, you know, woodworking along with Henry, his dear friend, and other things. And so they take that culture and share with it. And I think there are a lot of places that don't have such a rich culture as this. It may be age, it may be the melting pot that this community has been, the food, the music, the way everything came together. And yet there's some people that can't wait to get away from it. And I think that's okay if they want to experience something else, if they even want to live somewhere else. But I think the joy of being part of this, and especially people who were born here. You know, I'm not born here. I'm a transplant. I fell in love with it at 3 weeks. I'll tell you that funny story. I was in Breaux Bridge at 4 o'clock in the morning. We were getting ready to do a two in your town. And they had all this food going, and they had all this music going, and there must have been 200 people there. I fell to my knees and I said, I have found my people. Wow.
And so welcoming. So come and eat.
Yes, come and enjoy.
Such hospitality.
Yeah, come on. And that, you just don't find that everywhere. And sometimes you've said to me, because, you know, my hometown is Glasgow, Kentucky. Right. And you've said, but, you know, you don't talk about Kentucky nearly enough. You don't.
But I think it's because you live here. I think there's a positive to that. This is your home.
True. But I'm telling you, while it's a lovely little town, and it doesn't have the depth.
Okay. You're being, whether, even if it may be subjective, you're saying there are certain cultures that are greater than others.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Just richer and deeper.
But I would almost challenge that, because you have gone so deep into this one. Oh. You have really explored this culture, and I can't wait to see the next show to see what did she do now. Oh. You know, with the lady with the mugs, the person with the wood.
Yeah. The artists and the musicians.
Artists, the Navy, the
Cajun Navy.
The Cajun Navy, the plantation that you visited, the Whitney plantation.
It's incredible.
I didn't even know it existed. See, there really is incredible opportunity. If you look at the Weekender from the paper, you'll see all that's going on in the city.
And what people, I hope, will do more is explore some of that. with their
Yes.
kids, with their family, with their friends. Because it is, I mean, I leave an experience like that just so full, and it's really full of joy, full of gratitude for how much people love where they are, love what they do, love the history of what they've done. And I have had people say to me, which believe me is one of the ultimate compliments, of saying, wow, you did a story on that and I went. And I saw it for myself and it was great. Because everyone will have their own experience.
Sure.
I just am lucky enough to be able to share mine, but I love it when they go and have their own.
Absolutely. And if I may, as we kind of close out, just go again back to the kind of the psychological.
Yeah.
Watch that the expectations are not too high.
Okay.
Watch that they're not too low. And when people say to me, as well as when I say it to myself, well, it's not feeding me or it's not nourishing me, that says a lot about me. I need to go and find places here that will nourish me and feed me and excite me. And if it happens, there are people here, there are a few people that are not LSU people. And I'm like, fine, there's more to this city.
Right.
It's a huge part of the city, but there's more to the city. I've got to question my own, and by the way, lastly, and this is where I really have learned, when I think I'm gonna go somewhere, I have to always remember I'm gonna take me with me.
No matter where you go.
No matter where I go,
There you are.
There you are. Which means, what might I need to look at in terms of my attitude before I quickly say I need a demographic, or I got to get out of this culture, or this culture is this, or this culture is that. It's like, okay, fine, but you're going to take yourself with you, and wherever you go, there's going to be problems.
Right.
There are going to be problems.
No place is perfect, right? But if somebody is saying that maybe they're a real creative type, and they say, I have to go somewhere like New York City, or I have to go another, but where it's San Francisco, where people are more creative. Oh, we've got them here. They just haven't found them.
And there's where I would almost say, put your creativity to work here. If you're
Right.
that creative, there's going to be a great opportunity here, much more so than New York or San Francisco. You want to go be creative, you're going to find a lot of competition in creativity. There may be areas here that haven't yet been explored that you can
really flourish in.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it is a fabulous, interesting culture, and may we all celebrate it and unite in it.
And continue to bring forth the ambassadors for Baton Rouge to see. It's
Thank
really,
you.
I get proud of the area every time I see a segment that's on this, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And when it ever feels real small, like sometimes towns and where you are can feel really small, just go out and meet some new people.
Amen.
Because there's a lot of those too.
Find a restaurant.
That's right. Great. Good to see you, Nikki.
Bye.
Much more coming up right after this.